Alright guys, welcome back to Inspired Lifestyle. We're here to go over some movements that you're going to see quite a bit in our programming. So no matter what track you choose, you're going to see some of these common movements very often, and we want to make sure you guys are doing them correctly as well as safely, as well as give you some different modifications to go with them. So right now I am John, and I got my demo guy Joel here to demo. We're going to go over the air squat, the burpee, push-up, and the couch stretch today. Okay, it's just going to be a quick briefing over those movements. Alright, Joel, how do you feel? Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Alright, let's do this. So we're going to start with the air squat. It's going to start with his feet. We want his feet underneath his shoulders. So from his shoulders, if he had his thumbs on his points of his shoulders, it'd be straight down from there. His toes are either going to be straight forward or slightly toed out. Okay, it's going to be a personal preference for you. Now, from here, he's going to bring his hands out front. It's a little bit easier to keep his chest up when he does that. Now, the first movement of the air squat is pushing his hips back like he would sit in a chair. So notice how he pushed his butt back, and he's able to wiggle his toes right here with this. Okay, so he's pushing his hips back. Now he's going to go down a little bit lower. Okay, a little bit lower, 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 lower. Now, as he goes down, he did a fantastic job of pushing his knees out. So if you can see my hand right here, if I'm pushing in, he's pushing out against my hand the whole time. Now when he stands up, he drives through his heel, squeezes his butt at the top. Okay, one more time if you would, Joel. He pushes his hips back, sits back like he's sitting in the chair, and presses those knees out. And if you guys can see his shoes, they are completely flat on the ground. If he wanted to wiggle his toes, he could right now. Now when he stands up, he drives through his heels, squeezes his butt at the top, and comes right back out of there. Alright, so if that might be difficult for you or you have knee pain issues with that, we're going to give you a scaling option. So right now we have a bench right here that I'm going to put right here. Okay? And if you're making excuses about not being able to squat, I hope you're not sitting on the couch, sitting on the toilet, sitting at anything, because that is a squat. Okay? So we're all able to squat just at different levels. So we got a bench set right here for Joel. And he's going to keep those same things in mind. He's got his feet set underneath his shoulders. Okay, his toes are straight or turned out slightly depending on his ankles and his hips. Okay, now what he's going to do is sit back to the bench. He gently touches his bench, and then he drives back out of there. Okay, and if that would be too low for him or he's unable to come out in a controlled manner, we could raise that up a little bit. It's all about baby steps. Okay. So depending on where you're at, maybe you're only going a couple inches down, then you're standing up. The next day you go a little bit further and a little bit further until you're at that full squat without any assistance. Alright? Thank you, Joel.
You're welcome.
We're going to move on to the burpee now.
Alright.
Okay, there's many different versions of the burpee out there, and none are wrong, but this is what we're going to look for at Inspire Lifestyle. We want Joel's chest to touch the ground each time, as well as his thighs at the same time when he's lying on his stomach. And then he's going to kick his feet to his hands and jump with his hands above his head at the end. So, Joel's going to do a burpee. He brings his hands down, kicks his feet back. Okay, now he's going to kick his feet up to his hands, jumps up, touches overhead. Joel, can you do two more for me in a row? So he comes down, touches chest and thighs, jumps overhead. More, comes back down, jump. There you go. Okay, burpee, very simple. Standards, once again, chest, thighs, touch the ground each time, and then he's jumping up overhead, bring his hands overhead each time. Next one we have is the push-up. A lot of different modifications for this as well. So Joe, can you do one more burpee for me, actually? So he comes down, comes up, okay? And now if you were to come back down like you're going to do another burpee, Joel. Okay, now notice where his hands automatically went for his burpee. That's going to be your push-up position for your hands. So right underneath his shoulders, and naturally you're probably going to go to this position. Now from here, his feet are together, his stomach is squeezed nice and tight like someone was going to punch him in the stomach, and his butt is squeezed. Now from here, he's going to come down, nice and controlled, touching his chest to the ground, and his chest is the first thing that touches the ground. From here, he drives his hands in and brings his arms straight at the top. If you are unable to do that, the first scaling option modification is going to be to come down, touch his chest to the ground, and he's going to bring his knees to the ground. As he does that, he still keeps his butt and stomach tight, and when he gets to his arms straightened out position, he straightens out his legs as well. So do that again for me, Joel. Touches his chest to the ground, brings his knees down, comes up, and then straightens his legs. If we're still unable to come down in a controlled manner on our toes, then he's going to bring his knees down to the ground, still keeping his stomach and butt tight. He comes down, touches his chest to the ground, and then comes up with that. Okay, so we have 3 different options there. Down on your toes, up on your toes, holding that perfectly good plank position. Down on your toes, up on your knees, as well as down on your knees, up on your knees. Okay? So depending on where we're at with our push-up progression, you can choose from those 3 options. Last one is a stretch that we're going to use quite often due to the amount of sitting most people do in a day. This is a fantastic hip flexor stretch, and it is called the couch stretch. So what Joel's going to do here is he's going to bring his left leg flat up against the wall. Sorry, right leg. Right and left, they go hand in hand. Okay, so he brings his right leg up against the wall. Now his shin is flat, his toes are pulled up, okay? And then his other leg is like he's in a lunge position. You guys can't see this, but his foot is directly behind his hip. It's not off to the side. Now, what he's doing is keeping his stomach nice and tight, as well as squeezing his butt. When he does that, it provides a stretch to his hip flexor right here. All right, he can hold this anywhere from 1 to 3 minutes, and make sure you're taking deep breaths with that. Joel, you feeling that?
I'm feeling it.
How does that feel?
Deep stretch.
It might be a little bit uncomfortable at first for some of us, but it's very important, and it'll be very beneficial for those of you that sit a lot, and especially if you have some back pain with that. If you're unable to get in this position even, what we can do is modify by bringing the front leg down, so come down to his knee, and just simply going right there. He's still going to get a stretch to the hip flexor and slowly be stretching that out. Anytime we stretch, it's okay to be a little bit uncomfortable, but we should never feel pain. Okay, don't force a stretch. Stretching is a slow progression that takes time. All right? Thank you for joining us today at Inspire Lifestyle. Make sure to comment below, like below, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, and any questions, hit us up. We'd love to answer any questions for you. Joel, anything to add?
No, it's just these 3 movements are going to be critical to learn, and that way you have proper mechanics in each of the workouts that we provide. So with that, we look forward to helping each and every one of you and along this journey. Thanks.